Hello goons and gals, it's Doug here with the Born a Goon channel, and I would like to welcome you to today's video, where I will tell you why the Kove 450 Rally is the most important Chinese motorcycle that has ever been built, and how Kove the brand could be the very first Chinese manufacturer to challenge the long-established powerhouses from Japan and Austria, launching us into an era of Chinese innovation and disruption that could forever leave an indelible mark on the world of motorcycling. However, my tyros, despite the fervor and promise that surrounds the Kove 450 Rally, there are some serious questions one must ask. So towards the end of this video, I will propound a few reasons as to why this motorcycle may end up becoming a disappointment. So goons, gals, and grasshoppers, if your feet are weary and your heart is heavy from the arduous journey that has led you to this video in the pursuit of wisdom and knowledge about the Kove 450, I want you to remember the wise words of Master Po. When spokes are given to a wheel, it is the emptiness of the hub that gives us its strength. Be the center, be nothing, and you shall have everything. So why is the Kove 450 Rally the most important Chinese motorcycle ever? Well, because it stands alone as the only motorcycle of its kind in a segment that doesn't really exist yet. For many moons now, the motorcycling community has been desperately waiting for any manufacturer of any kind to step up to the plate and build a mass-produced, lightweight, street-legal, do-it-all, multi-purpose, Dakar-inspired on- and off-road motorcycle, also known as a unicorn, or for this video, let's call it a Keelin. A motorcycle that is lighter and less complex than a middleweight adventure bike, but not as primitive and buzzy as a traditional dual sport. But year after year, the demand for this mythical creation only intensifies because consumers can't figure out for the life of them, with all of this technology that surrounds us, how come we haven't seen a major manufacturer step up to the plate and build this bike yet? Now, I did a video recently titled "Why a Lightweight Adventure Bike Will Never Be Built," and if you want to watch that video and to why I feel it was done on purpose, I put a link down in the description box. But nonetheless, this is a very large hole that needs to be filled. When I say that this segment doesn't really exist, it's not to say that the market is completely devoid of such motorcycles. KTM and Gas have a Rally replica, but it's a limited edition model that is not street legal and is probably going to cost you a minimum of 30,000 United States dollars to own. Fantic is also producing a 450 Rally, but at this point, it doesn't seem like it's going to be widely available globally, and it's going to cost 16,256 United States dollars for their base version and $23,540 for their Rally replica. Portuguese manufacturer AJP offers the closest thing to a budget-friendly Rally-inspired motorcycle with their PR7 that sells for 11,500 United States dollars. While this bike is spot on in every way imaginable, it's also very limited. I mean, you have a better chance of bumping into a Feng Wong out in the wild than another APJ PR7. Where the Kove 450 differs from the previous mentioned motorcycles is they have the intent to mass produce this motorcycle at a budget price, then back it up with a strong dealer network and quick access to replacement parts and upgrades. According to their website, they intend on selling two versions of this bike, a regular edition designed for street legality that will come in a low seat version and a standard seat version, then a Rally replica edition that's intended for competition use. The regular edition motorcycle is priced at 9,000 United States dollars, and the Rally edition is listed for 14,000 United States dollars. While not monetarily modest in any means, it is a lot cheaper than the other motorcycles that I had mentioned previously, and that's saving enough money to make Zai Xinye proud. So instead of this being the year of the rabbit, it just may turn out to be the year of the Kove. That didn't sound right. That sounded like too close to COVID. In this video, I have refrained from delving into the specifications of this bike, as the final version hasn't made its debut in showrooms and any changes from now until then could occur. But if the 450cc engine is built to standard, it should generate around 50 horsepower and deliver adequate torque figures to match, provided that emission restrictions do not hinder that performance. While none of this will be easy for Kove, as the Chinese proverb said, the sea cannot be measured measured with a bucket. The number 2 reason why this bike is so special is because it could change the perceptions on how the Western world views Chinese motorcycles. I mean, China has been stigmatized as a purveyor of substandard wares, copyright infringement, and the mere mention of the label made in China evokes thoughts of shoddy craftsmanship and unreliable products. But there are 2 sides to that story. It's not that China is incapable of producing high-end premium products, because they do, like iPhones, Xboxes, Volkswagens, and over 300 luxury mall brands like Abercrombie & Fitch, Armani, Adidas, and many others. But China is also the master of producing cheap goods that no one else in the world seems to be able to compete with. And I think this is because China has a state-of-the-art transportation infrastructure, an unparalleled supply chain, and highly educated workers that are so efficient they can build an entire city in just a few weeks. While here in the United States, we can't get someone from the local city department to patch up a pothole on the street for 5 years. China is doing exactly what Japan was doing in the 1970s, and because of this, it has made them the preeminent superpower of the 21st century. So if they can build a skyscraper in a weekend, then there's no doubt they can build a top-notch motorcycle that is on par with any other brand in the world. But as the Chinese proverb says, it takes more than one cold day for a river to freeze over. The meteoric rise in the quality of Chinese motorcycles is evident in other brands too, like CF Moto, who has also built engines for KTM, and Kove. But nobody to this point has taken it to the level of Kove. The Kove 450 Rally has undergone rigorous testing in the demanding and arguably toughest race on the planet, the Dakar Rally. Not only did the Kove 450 Rally hold its own, but all 3 motorcycles that competed in the race completed the race, proving its mettle as a reliable racing weapon. So unlike other Chinese manufacturers, it appears that if the Kove 450 Rally was not cheaply built, nor was it hastily rushed to the market. It appears as if they have spent adequate time with research and development, and they have tested this motorcycle under the most extreme conditions of real-world racing. In spite of all this optimism, though, there are many questions ahead for the Kove Rally. As Confucius once said, the man who asks a question is a fool for a minute, the man who does not ask is a fool for life. Starting with, will we ever see this bike? Now, according to GPX's website, a distributor of this motorcycle, here in the United States, the first 70 models will be imported as competition off-road models, not street legal in all 50 states. So this means that the first 70 models of this motorcycle that we see here in America will be that 14,000 Rally replica. The website does not mention if or when we will see the 71st motorcycle and when we might see the street legal version of this bike. They go on to say that we'll make every effort to have these bikes in stock by June or July of 2023, but due to supply chain issues, it could take longer. All deposits are 100% non-refundable if the bikes are delivered before November 1st of 2023. While I understand supply chain problems and such, this form of dialogue doesn't come from a stance of confidence. But let's give them the benefit of the doubt and wait and see. Now, speaking of seeing, there is a definitive reason why a bike like this has not been built by a major manufacturer. And I could sum that up with another Chinese proverb that says, no horse can wear 2 saddles. My theory behind this is the reason that a 50-50 motorcycle has not been built is because in reality, there is no such thing as a 50-50 rider. You're either spending more of your time on the road or more of your time off the road. There never is that really yin and yang perfect balance. Now, under that premise, let's take a look at who the Kove 450 Rally could be, and let's do this objectively and honestly. Let's say that you're an adventure rider and you're looking for an adventure bike that's a bit more lightweight and aggressive. While this bike is attractive, the Kove is only $1,000 less than a Yamaha Tenere 7 and probably the same price as the all-new Honda Transalp 750. While these are not the same bike, and I am definitely not comparing apples to apples, they can kind of accomplish the same thing. So what I'm saying though, is when it comes time to put pen to paper, do you roll the dice on the dark horse Chinese motorcycle with a limited history, Or do you go with a safety play and stick with the decades of proven reliability from Japanese machinery? If you're a dual sport rider and you're seeking to tackle the most arduous terrains while maintaining a modicum of comfort during your extended highway journeys, would you buy the Kove instead of a premium street legal dual sport that's available now with a long-standing history and a large dealer network like a Honda 450RL or a KTM 500, Husky 501, or even a Beta, and then spend an extra $1,000 to make that bike a little bit more road-friendly? Again, not necessarily apples to apples here, but a decision that one will need to make. What if you're a rider that truly wants a rally-inspired motorcycle that looks like it's destined to conquer everything from the Iron Gate to the Gulang Tunnel? Do you buy a Kove or a Honda 450RL or Husky 701, then add a top-flight rally kit to it? While this would end up being slightly more than a base Kove 450, it still would end up being less than the competition rally version of this bike. The point I'm trying to make here is while these bikes are not the same, they are available now. Parts are easy to find for them now, and the track record of these motorcycles have been proven in the hands of the public for several decades. You see, a lot of motorcyclists say that they want something, but then when it comes down to it, they choose something else. And look, I've been guilty of that quite a few times. And as the Chinese proverb says, he who conquers others is strong, but he who conquers himself is mighty. Knowing thyself and knowing thy application of intent goes a long way in picking the right motorcycle. And even if something is good, it doesn't necessarily mean that people will buy it. A case in point is something like the all-new Aprilia Touareg 660. This is a bike that has performed very well on an off-road. It met a consumer demand by giving them a budget-friendly motorcycle with some basic electronics to it. Every test shootout, it compares well against its peers, but it seems like when it comes down to it, people can't pull the trigger on the Aprilia because it is an Aprilia. I can't tell you how many people have told me they backed out of buying an Aprilia Touareg just based on their lack of a dealer network. So if people are turned off by the Aprilia just based off of their small dealer network, then what does that mean for something like Kove? This is why I think that the first run of these motorcycles will be a second or third motorcycle for an owner. I wouldn't think the general herd, who can only afford to buy one motorcycle, would be willing to take the chance on this bike until there have been many tests and many forums and just much more data to make them feel secure. Now, I'm sure somebody will, but the general herd probably won't do it. And I think deep down there in the brain, subconsciously, people just have a hard time with Chinese motorcycles. And I'm saying this because every time I do a poll about what bike should I buy next, and I put a Chinese motorcycle in it, it always finishes last. But as Lao Tzu once said, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. You have to start somewhere. Even Honda and Yamaha had to start somewhere. And it seems like up to this point that Kove has taken the right steps to ensure the best result for their brand. And they're not just banking their hopes and dreams and the entire future of their company on the Kove 450 Rally. They do offer a lot of other motorcycles in their lineups, like naked bikes, adventures, sport bikes, dirt bikes, and the all-new Super Adventure 800X that looks very stylish and well built. So I'm very excited to see what the future holds for Kove the brand. As the Chinese would say, talk does not cook rice. But the Kove 450 Rally checks almost all of the boxes on the unicorn checklist. So let's give them their due. But it will be imperative for Kove to deliver on their promises and support their customers. While none of this will be easy, remember it was Bruce Lee that said, "Do not pray for an easy life, pray for the strength to endure a difficult one." So during this video, I've had the chance to spew a lot of babble. And quite frankly, I'm tired of hearing myself talk. I want to hear from you guys. I want to ask you a direct question. Would you buy this motorcycle? Will you buy this motorcycle? Or have you already put a deposit on this motorcycle? So anyway, goons, gals, and grasshoppers, let me know your thoughts and opinions down there in the comments section. Good or bad, I can handle it, because a straight foot is not afraid of a crooked shoe. And remember, the most important thing you should take away from this video is that a wise man makes his own decisions. An ignorant man follows public opinion. And that's all this video was, just my opinion. Zai Jian.